Your dad brought you to the game of golf. What did it feel like when you first played golf?
Oh, I was just fascinated at the sound that the golf ball made when you hit it solid and it took off. It was just such a beautiful sound that it made, going through the air, and that fascinated me. And the feeling that you got when you hit one right in the sweet spot, it just felt like you really hit nothing and yet you hit the golf ball. So, and it was probably, I'm the kind of person that if you challenge me, I'm gonna go for it, So it was probably the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life, is try to play golf, because we all know golf is, you're not gonna ever perfect it. And as soon as you accomplish one thing, and as soon as you feel like, I've got it now, there's something else around the corner that's gonna make you wanna try that out. And as you accomplish one thing, so you search for the next thing, and you think you're going to get better and better, and that's what golf does to you. You never get to be the best, you just get to get better. My little trophy case here. This is when I won the $1 Million Golf Classic in South Africa. It was a great day in my life. I had a prize money of $1 million for the first prize, and it was great. I got that. And then this was Houston. This was my first tournament that I won in the United States of America. The Houston Golf Association gave that to me. That was at the Woodlands in Texas. This is my World Series of Golf trophy right here. This one gave me the 10-year exemption. This was the day I managed to shoot 62 in the final round and won this trophy. And that 62 was the lowest Sunday round in the history of the PGA Tour until David Duval shot 59 at the Bob Hope Classic to win the golf tournament over there. So, as you can see, this is the Capitol building. That's a piece of Waterford crystal they gave us when we played in the President's Cup. I played in the inaugural President's Cup, 1994. Born in 57, and in 57 was one of the years Gary Player just won a major tournament somewhere in the world and came back to South Africa after doing much traveling. And he said to the media when he did his interview that all he wanted to do was find a nice farm to go and relax and do nothing for 3 weeks, to get away from it all, to unwind. And my late dad and his brother called him up and said, hey, come on out to our farm. Well, you can come and relax out here. And they became great friends after that, and he's been in my life ever since. And what a great role model. I mean, you cannot ask for better than Gary Player. I mean, the man is as competitive as it gets, and true gentleman of the game, loves the game more than anything, and just a great all-round guy. And that's how I got involved in the game, was being close to him.
You mentioned your dad and Gary Player throughout your career. What inspired you along the way? Were there other people, other moments?
Oh yeah, there was a multitude of moments that made you want to, that made me want to become a professional. I turned pro early in life. I turned pro when I was 18 years old. I was finished high school, I had to go to the Army, and that's when I turned pro, and gave me a few benefits, being in the Army and being a professional golfer gave you a few little benefits. So, but the inspiration to want to win and to want to become one of the best, that came from a multitude of people. I mean, yes, I realistically, I knew that for me to achieve a record like Gary Player's would be ridiculous. I mean, I didn't think it at the time, but now that I think of it, how I thought that, knowing how difficult the game is. But it was there, the inspiration was there. And, I was good friends with Sevi, and then to watch Sevi, the late Sevi, have so much success, and him and I were pretty friendly, and that was a motivational thing for me to want to become a champion too. There's just so many things. And to watch Nicklaus, to watch the great Jack Nicklaus, he is just phenomenal, And I just wished I'd seen more of Arnold Palmer play. I played with Arnold Palmer twice in his golf tournament, and he's the, as he's the king, and he just showed basically how to behave as a golfer, how you treat people, and how you can, if you really, behave in the proper way and treat people the correct way, that golf can take you to huge, big things in this world. And thank God for Arnold. I mean, because Arnold was the guy that started the game getting into the corporate world. And the corporate world is the world with the money, as we all know. And that's how we got into the world of money, through Arnold Palmer. Thank you, AP. And between him and Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player, the big three, that's, that was motivation. I was fortunate to live through that. But when it comes down to the actual game itself, who made me want to get better all the time? The late Ben Hogan. He was probably the greatest ball striker that ever walked the planet. I was fortunate enough to see him hit golf balls, and I was fortunate enough to speak to him. And to this day, and I know there's a lot of great players out there, and to this day I've never seen anybody strike it like Hogan hit the golf ball. It just made a completely different sound when he hit the golf ball. He was phenomenal. So he was the guy that sat in my head all the time when it came to mechanics and it came to trying to figure out how to play the game as best you can. And you know, that's great. I mean, I've just been very lucky guy when it comes to all of that. I've been in the right place at the right time, and that's what it takes.
Tell me about the first time you met Ben Hogan, saw him play.
At the Colonial. It was in 1990. 91, sorry. It was the first time I qualified for it, and he was there, and I managed to speak to him, watched him hit some golf balls out at Shady Oaks. It was beautiful. Man was 57 years old, and he stood there and he just striped it. I mean, just absolutely striped it. And then after I won the Colonial in 93, I had dinner at the Champions Dinner, sat next to him again. I never ever played with him, but spoke to him, and just phenomenal to think what was going through that mind to be that good. I mean, in my opinion, he was still, you know, I mean, they talk about how great Tiger and Jack are and all the rest, and they've done some great things. I mean, Jack Nicklaus obviously being the greatest ever as far as major champions are concerned, and Tiger having all 4 majors in his so to speak, closet in one fiscal year, not the fiscal year, but in you know, with the overlap, having all 4. But Hogan won the first 3 majors, and I really believe would have won the 4th major had he been able to get back in time. But he, as we all know, he never got back from the British Open in time to play the PGA. But he'd won the first 3. He won the Masters, he won the US Open, and then he won the British Open in the same year. And obviously never made it back in time to play the PGA, which he won the next year anyway. So he was my hero when it comes to hitting that golf ball and compressing that golf ball and making it do exactly what you want it to do. He was the man. He was the man.